Tonight, the state of emergency here in Baltimore. Should people be concerned about the safety of flying today? Closer to the Gaza border.
More Americans turn to NBC News than any other news organization.
I knew the victim.
Did you miss any of the Karen Reed murder trial today? We have you covered. We're getting you caught up on everything you may have missed and what you can expect next in the trial. That's just minutes away at 7.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can capture all the summer fun. Wow, my favorite party trick.
You could get 3.75 for 60 financing on a luxurious all-wheel drive Crown Hybrid. Toyota, let's go places.
It's the summer of $9.99 at Bob's.
And we're celebrating with 3 4-piece bedroom sets with gorgeous finishes and features starting at $7.99. When the looks you love go for $9.99 or less, there's only one thing to say. Oh, my Bob!
You're watching NBC 10 Boston. News worthy of you.
It was a half day in Norfolk Superior Courthouse, but the jury was still left with plenty to think about. Good evening and welcome to Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial. I'm Glenn Jones.
I'm JC Monahan. Today was our first introduction to the Albert family. You'll remember Boston police officer Brian Albert and his wife Nicole owned the home on 34 Fairview Road in Canton where John O'Keefe's body was found in the snow the morning of January 29th, 2022. Brian's brother, Chris Albert, and his wife, Julie, were called to the stand today. And as we learned, their connection to the case does not stop there.
Chris testified today that John O'Keefe was their neighbor, living just a couple of doors down. And Julie was questioned about her friendship with a woman named Courtney Proctor. She's the sister of State Trooper Michael Proctor, the investigator on this case, who is now part of an internal investigation. Plenty of interesting details coming to light today.
And we were able to obtain a copy of the 911 calls with very clear audio made from the scene shortly after Karen Reed found her Boston police officer boyfriend unresponsive in the snow. We'll have more on that a little later in the half hour. But first, John Maroney has today's highlights from Dedham.
John O'Keefe came with Karen Reed.
Canton Selectman Chris Albert says he was with John O'Keefe and Karen Reed at the Waterfall Bar and Grill the night before O'Keefe died.
It was fine. Everyone was just having a good time.
Albert says O'Keefe was a friend. He was shocked to learn the Boston police officer's body was found on the snowy front lawn of his brother Brian's home.
You would agree with me that the Albert family is well known in the town of Canton?
We have a big family.
And you would agree with me that the Albert family is a powerful family in the town of Canton?
Objection.
Sustained.
Defense attorney David Yannetti grilled Albert about his family and their relationship with investigators, like former Canton Chief Kenneth Berkowitz, seen here with Chris Albert at a campaign event, as well as State Trooper Michael Proctor, who became lead investigator because another Albert brother Kevin is a Canton cop. The defense says law enforcement has conspired to frame Reed.
She opened her jacket and had a glass and pulled the glass out and started drinking.
Julie Albert testified she was at Waterfall with her husband and recalls Reed arriving with a drink under her coat from another bar across the street. The defense attacked her ties to Michael Proctor, saying she's very close to the lead investigator's sister, Courtney. They said telephone records indicate Albert spoke with Proctor's sister 67 times by phone in the months after John O'Keefe's death.
Were you using Courtney Proctor as an intermediary to communicate with Michael Proctor about this case?
Objection.
I'll allow it. No, I was not.
The jury was shown this picture, Chris and Julie Albert in front of John O'Keefe's home. The defense has suggested O'Keefe died because of a conflict the couple's son Colin had with him over his yard.
John O'Keefe complained to you about things that Colin was doing.
Not correct.
He would tell you that Colin used to throw beer cans or beer bottles in his bushes, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
No, you can answer that. What's your answer to
That is not correct.
Julie Albert will be back on the stand tomorrow morning. Friday will be a full day of testimony. In Dedham, John Maroney, NBC 10 Boston.
Okay, John, thank you. Back here in studio for a closer look at today's testimony is local attorney Catherine Luftus.
Thanks for having me.
She knows a thing or two about TikTok, too. The line of questioning we saw today appeared to be an attempt to flesh out a timeline, but I think some would say the answers didn't really accomplish that. We want to play a portion of Chris Albert's testimony for you.
About what time was it that you got home? Sometime between, I'd say 5 past and 10 past 12, somewhere in that window.
Now, you previously, you testified on direct examination today, I believe, that you thought you got home between 12:05 and 12:10 a.m. on January 29th, correct?
It's what I remember.
Do you not remember the precise time that you left the bar that early morning?
It's over 2 years ago. I don't know the precise time.
Do you know who that person is who's leaving the bar at this point at 12:13 and 43 a.m.?
I believe it's me.
So, Catherine, I guess a two-part question for you on this. In the first part, does a jury expect a witness to have a minute-by-minute recollection 2 years later? And secondly, when a prosecutor is preparing his witness, is this the kind of thing that they would iron out so that there isn't a discrepancy when they get on the stand?
So for both as an attorney and as the juror, I actually think you don't want a witness to be as precise as possible. I think if Chris Albert testified and said, I came home at 12:07 and I saw it because I saw the watch and I went in, I actually think that reads a little bit more unreliable. The fact that he said, I was home sometime between 12:05 and 12:10. What David Yannetti questioned him about was that he actually left at 12:13. So we're talking about a discrepancy of 7 to 10 minutes, give or take.
2 years
ago. 2 years ago,
right.
when you're drinking, you're working all day. I actually think that's a reasonable analysis. When you prep a witness as a prosecutor, you're not providing them with the answer. So you're not saying you don't want to. Prepping is not coaching. Prepping is not saying this is the answer that you have to give. It's just guiding them about what to expect. Most civilians are never going to get on a witness stand. Mm-hmm. So it's really breaking down what the process is, what kind of questions they're likely to be asked.
And big picture, was Chris Albert a good witness?
I actually thought he did better for the Commonwealth. I think the defense was trying to poke some holes, both in the timeline as well as the issue with the lawn and John O'Keefe, and I think he did pretty good.
But then what does it matter then if we're off by 10 or 15 minutes? There's some idea that maybe this is opening the door to present that there's a window in there where maybe that third-party culprit that they want to put in when it's their turn could be put in there. And am I wrong in assuming that really what this was about was what time did your son get home?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, JC. Basically, what the line of questioning was trying to accomplish is what time did Colin Albert, what time was he at 34 Fairview? What time did he leave? What time did he get home? Because really, if we're basing it on, we haven't seen it in evidence yet, but I anticipate we're going to get the Apple Health data of John O'Keefe, which is disputed, whether he went in the house, whether he didn't. If he did go in the house, there's an argument that based on his data, that somebody allegedly attacked him within the first few minutes. So we're really looking at if Colin Albert was home by 12:29, 12:31, it sort of takes him out of they have three, Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, and Colin Albert, which David Yannetti attempted to use as potential third-party culprits. Depending on the timeline, it either keeps Colin Albert in or it takes him out. So it'll be interesting to see what else they have.
That was the importance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've told us before that the defense doesn't necessarily need to prove who the third-party culprit was and what their motive was in order to get their client acquitted.
That's right, because remember, the Commonwealth always has the burden. The government brings charges against a civilian. As a defendant, you're entitled to the presumption of innocence. It's the Commonwealth's burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Karen Reed either intentionally killed him or was guilty of manslaughter. The defense doesn't have to prove anything. What they're trying to do is, right now, they're trying to poke holes in the police investigation, which I think, quite frankly, is their strongest. Mm-hmm. If they need to go down the third-party line, which I don't know that they might even have to go there given the issues with the police investigation. But ultimately, it's not their burden to prove that somebody did it or that she's innocent.
All right. So when the defense cross-examined Chris Albert's wife, Julie, they pushed hard on her relationship with Courtney Proctor, the sister of Michael Proctor, who would eventually be the lead investigator on this case. She admitted they were friends, but said they mostly texted and occasionally talked on the phone. Mm-hmm. Defense attorney Yannetti showed phone records that indicate they spoke 67 times between February and September of 2022.
And Glenn, what I think was really specific was February 1st, which was the day Karen Reed was arrested. The call log showed they spoke for 12 minutes. And then again the next day, February 2nd, when Karen was arraigned, they spoke 3 times before she made her court appearance, and then for 27 minutes after her arraignment. And yet, Catherine, this is where I want to bring you in. If I'm remembering this correctly, she doesn't really remember what it was that she was talking with Julie about. I'm trying to understand how that could be on such a significant day in a small town. Everybody is paying attention to this. They know the players in the case. The defense is basically trying to say, you've been trying to pull information out of the lead investigator's wife because of your connection. And she's saying, does that ring true for you? I don't really remember what we talked about for 27 minutes on the day that Reed was arraigned.
It doesn't, and I think we've talked about this a little bit before when we talked about Katie McLaughlin, the firefighter, when she testified. Sometimes, even if the truth isn't as helpful, it's always better to tell the truth because the jurors can see. They understand, is it realistic that you talked for this long to this person on this significant date and you don't recall anything at all? Do they expect you to recall every single thing, the entire substance of the conversation? Well, no. Certainly not, but the topic, I think it's hard to believe that she doesn't remember.
My read from you is that Julie Albert was not as good or credible a witness as Chris Albert was.
I actually think, surprisingly, I think people maybe thought coming in that it was going to be the opposite. I think Chris Albert did very well. I think he maybe helps the Commonwealth more than the defense. And I think Julie Albert has some problems.
Credibility problems.
Credibility, and I think even more so it's raising the issue of the conflict with Michael Proctor and what that, even if you're not to believe the defense theory, the problem is that this person has a relationship with the lead investigator's brother. And at the end of the day, it's really on Michael Proctor, the trooper, who has the burden of recusing himself. Right. People are in law enforcement, people who take an oath, as I did to the Commonwealth. It's his job to have taken himself out of this, and I think it's clear that based on this that he should have.
All right, we're going to talk more with you, Catherine. Sure. Don't go anywhere. She's going to be back a little later in the half hour.
But first, we heard a lot of objections in court today.
Objection.
Sustained.
Correct.
Objection, Your Honor. Objection.
I'll allow it.
Listen, it's normal to hear this during a trial, but is it intentional, a strategic tactic? We'll talk about it when Canton Confidential returns.
Your favorite morning news team.
He's optimistic, and his name is Optimistic Raul Martinez.
It is, and she's optimistic. Latoya Edwards
has a new addition.
For timing and how much rain we're going to get, let's check in with our meteorologist, Tevin Wooten.
Join Latoya, Raul, and now Tevin.
How excited are you to be on this morning?
Oh, I am so excited. I can't wait to go.
Make every morning a morning worthy of you. Weekdays 5 to 8 a.m. only on NBC 10 Boston.
Grilling and playing yard games, stories and s'mores around the fire pit. Soak up every minute of the season with your friends and family. Enjoy it now and get up to 60 months no interest. Experience the fun at Jordan's.
All eyes on me, brand new drip is what they see. Diamonds on my teeth, brand new whip is what they see.
In my bag like a bunch of groceries, all this cheese and greens just come to me.
Freedom you can't take your eyes off. The new 2024 Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator. Jeep, there's only one.
During Jeep 4x4 season, current FCA lessees can get $15,500 in lease support on the 2024 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4xe. See your local Jeep dealer today.
Vinyl flooring is luxurious and soft underfoot. Right now at National Floors Direct, get an entire room of luxury vinyl flooring installed the next day for just $788 and no interest for 1 year. Call 888-400-FLOOR. We'll bring the store to your door.
Join our VIP wash club. Only $19.99 per month. Cancel anytime.
Prestige Car Wash, home of the free vacuum.
Wash your car every day.
Cancel anytime.
Free vacuum for everyone.
Have you been waiting to make a change? It's time. Rethink the way you live. Save up to 20% during our Buy More, Save More event. Experience the difference at Jordan's.
Joining the conversation tonight, Boston defense attorney Peter Ellikin. Peter, thank you for joining us. David Yannetti, one of Karen Reed's attorneys, got in a lot of comments that were objected by the prosecution and most of them sustained by Judge Cannoni. It happened a lot, almost as if on purpose, because as we talked about before, it may not make it into the official testimony, but the jury can't unhear it. What was your take?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, what all those cliches, you can't unring the bell, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Attorneys often do that, where they'll raise a point, the judge will say, we'll kind of quash them down. And meanwhile, the jury, and it almost gets a laugh from us lawyers when the judge says something like, now, please disregard that, that's not evidence, or something like that. Now, please, how can you disregard once you've heard it? So that can be, that can work in the attorney's favor.
So, Peter, we wanted to talk to you about the difference between coaching and preparing a witness. Catherine Leftis kind of walked us through that a moment ago. We want to play a portion of Julie Albert's testimony and let us know what you see in terms of coaching versus preparing a witness.
You've also provided child care for her children, correct?
Yes.
Objection. Move to strike.
Now, Peter, I'll tell you what I read into this. I read that she had been prepared to handle that moment differently, forgot, and then realized she made a mistake there on the stand. Is that probably what happened here?
That's one theory, and there's a lot to support that, I guess. I really can't get into their minds at all. But really, you are supposed to prepare a witness. You're not supposed to coach. And very often, a witness will be cross-examined by the other side. Now, did you meet with the prosecutor? Did you meet with the attorney? And did you go over your testimony with them? And did they tell you what to say and all that? And they're trying to get out and bring out that the person was coached and told what to say. So effectively, if you're doing a good job with your client, or if a prosecutor is doing a good job with the witness, they should really, as we keep saying, prepare, let them know what they may be asked, but not tell them what to answer, not instruct them, not control them, just kind of raise, you might be asked this or you might be asked that, and leave it at that. Because the other side will often try to score points on, they will absolutely question you if you've been coached or you're told what to say.
Peter, in the few seconds we have left, I wonder if you can give a letter grade for how the prosecution has done, in your view, at preparing witnesses.
Wow, I think you may have finally actually stumped me, because I think the witnesses have been honest. I don't think this is a very different case where most of the time I always say the prosecution goes first. They should have the strongest case, and it only when it's defense turn weeks later, they should be able to bring in their stuff. But the defense has been particularly effective here in scoring a lot of points and knocking holes in the prosecution's witnesses. So it's hard to say. I really can't guess how well they've been prepared, but their testimony has not always stood up under cross-examination, but maybe that just comes off as they're being honest, they're being frank, they're trying to tell the truth maybe.
I think Peter just gave an incomplete grade instead of a letter grade.
Okay,
yeah.
That's probably at this point. Peter Ellikin, as
I got
always.
a lot of those in school.
Thank you so much for your insight. We always appreciate it.
Earlier this week, the jury heard 911 calls from the morning of January 29th, 2022. Tonight, we have that audio.
After the break, the details described in those calls that we haven't heard about in court.
It's not too late to get a new pool installed for summer. Budget Pools has a wide selection of premium above-ground pools in stock. Visit today and get 12 months free financing. Your backyard dreams start at Budget Pools. Local since 1965. Route 1 Peabody.
Meet the traveling trio. The thrill seeker, the soul searcher, and ahoy, it's the explorer. Each helping to protect their money with Chase. Whoa, a lost card isn't keeping this thrill seeker down. Lost her card? Not the vibe. The soul searcher is finding his identity and helping to protect it. Oh yeah, the explorer. She's looking to dive deeper, all while Chase looks out for her. Because these friends have Chase. Alerts that help check, tools that help protect, one bank that puts you in control. Chase, make more of what's yours.
It's the summer of $9.99 at Bob's.
And we're celebrating with 3 power reclining sofas with fantastic features for just $9.99 each. When the looks you love go for $9.99 or less, there's only one thing to say. Oh, my Bob!
Where can you get Wi-Fi speeds faster than Verizon? X marks the spot. Get the lowest price ever for Xfinity Gig Speed Internet with unlimited data included. That's Xfinity Gig Speed Internet for only $30 a month for 12 months with no annual contract when you add a line of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited. If you want to save more than $800 over Verizon in your first year, X marks the spot. Switch to fast, reliable Xfinity Internet and bring on the good stuff.
There are those who factor
and those who don't. Nothing this good comes this easy.
Except Factor.
Fresh, never frozen meals ready in 2 minutes.
If you have ever dreamed of having granite or quartz countertops in your kitchen, but thought it was too expensive, Bob's Granite Place can make your dream a reality. Granite countertops start at only $29.99 a square foot, and quartz countertops start at only $33.99 a square foot, with hundreds of colors to choose from. From fabrication to installation, there's no middleman, so you save hundreds. Check out our website for styles and current specials. Bob's Granite Place, your place for beautiful stone countertops. Since 1965, Budget Pools has been your #1 local source for pool supplies and expert water care. We also carry premium above-ground pools and have over 40 luxury hot tubs in stock. Budget Pools. Visit us today. Route 1 in Peabody. We live for summer.
Earlier in testimony, we heard the 2 911 calls made the morning John O'Keefe was found in the snow in Canton after a night out with friends. If you were listening through the streaming, through the online, as we're carrying all the live testimony, that audio was not easy to understand, but now we have a much clearer version of it. We want to play a clip for you, but of course, please keep in mind, you may find the details upsetting.
Yes, there's a man unresponsive in the snow.
Okay. Is he blue at all?
You've got to get here, okay?
Okay. What's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay. And who's that in the background? Is that someone related?
Okay, that's his girlfriend. Her name is John O'Keefe.
Catherine Loftus back here with us in the studio. First of all, I can't believe how clean they got that audio. It is very easy to understand now. And of course, in that call, we learned for the first time that John O'Keefe's body was flipped over before police arrived. Is there some significance in that for either side as they present their cases?
It's funny, Glenn, when we heard that first, it was actually one of the things that I picked up on, and it almost was, just a throwaway line that no one seemed to notice, and nobody seemed to ask any further questions about it, which quite frankly surprised me. My first reaction was, he was flipped over. We have never heard that before. That's the first time. And I think the fact that the glass is alleged to be located underneath him, it lends a little bit more credibility, I think, to the Commonwealth's perspective that if he was brought out, per the defense's theory, if he was brought out from the house, I find it unlikely that he would be placed face down. He would probably be placed face up. Again, that's just pure speculation. So I think it actually lends itself to the Commonwealth's theory that Karen Reed is alleged to have hit him, given the fact if he was face down in the snow and the glass was located underneath him, there's a little bit more to that.
But Catherine, that's the whole point, right? I mean, that is not an insignificant piece of information that, as you said, nobody hit home on. And I'm a little frustrated just because at this point, I would expect the prosecution to be hitting these points home. Where he was, the glass, we heard multiple times that Karen Reed had snuck a glass in, from one bar to the next in her jacket. But nothing was really made of that. In other words, there were those kind of moments that say, like, oh, she brought a glass in. She was drinking. Like, there's nothing. Is it just me in my frustration, or?
It's not just you. And if, as my followers know who are watching me live stream and comment every day, I'm saying they should be asking this. They should be asking this. I think you're exactly making the correct observation, JC. Because what's happening is it almost feels like the Commonwealth has a checklist of what questions they want to ask, but then when the answers differ a little bit, there's not as much spontaneity. And as most people who try cases know, a lot of it is being able to work on your feet and react. And so, when the bartender, the receipt was introduced, what's on the receipt? Everybody's asking, why are we focusing on the band? Like, as you said, we could be focusing on the glass in her. So it seems like there's opportunities for the Commonwealth to explore, and they're not taking them all, which is a little bit frustrating to watch as an attorney.
Just thank you. I didn't think it was just me, but it's validating. Thank you so much. All right, Catherine, as always, and of course, we're going to be bringing Catherine back time and time again. We're missing, though, an important voice in the studio tonight, Sue O'Connell.
Yeah, she got the night off, but she was in court this morning. In fact, at the courthouse, bright and early, like she always is, where you can find her courtroom reports in real time. That's next.
Here in Boston, trust is earned.
So if you want people to see their town in a new light, you've got to be willing to explore new places to find it.
Weather on NBC 10 Boston is brought to you by View Boston.
Chrysler Pacifica is the most awarded minivan 7 years in a row. And it's all thanks to parents like you, mother of 4 boys under 10. You do all you can to keep these wildebeest safe. The Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. The most awarded minivan with the most standard safety features in its class.
Right now, get 2.9% financing for 72 months. Plus, you may qualify for up to a $7,500 federal tax credit on the 2023 Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid.
I'm digital lifestyle expert Mario Armstrong, bringing you the best deals to supercharge your spring. It comes from the team that brought you steals and deals on the Today Show. This is NBC Select Deals with your local station. Let's start with this. It's a portable phone charger, 44% off, just $39. And the brand says it's the smallest one on the market. Works with Apple and Android devices. This is a 2-in-1 device. They're wireless earbuds and speakers. You can listen to music solo or share the sounds with friends. 83% off, only $25. This is a steal. Take your tunes with you or give it as a gift. Now this gadget right here, you know all the cords that you have? This will organize all your electronics. It is a power strip charging up to 6 devices. No one's arguing over a power outlet anymore. It's only $21. That's 65% off. Take advantage of these exclusive deals. Just scan the QR code or go to NBCSelect.com/deals.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Mel. Is now good for a quick catch-up on your plan?
Yes, now's great.
Refinance now or refinance later? Here are 10 tips to make your home.
Needless to say, your money could be working so much harder.
You know what? Yes, I'm thinking more long-term.
Interest rates will remain at current levels.
Great. We'll make that change to your plan and adjust as needed.
This helps a lot.
Bye, Mel.
Bye.
Household expenses are higher. And at National Grid, we know more of our customers can benefit from extra assistance. We're here to help you manage your energy bills. It all starts with a no-cost home energy assessment. We'll assess your home and help find ways to reduce your energy costs. Like getting up to 100% off energy-saving upgrades based on income eligibility. Get started now and see what you may qualify for at ngrid.com/startsaving.
We are following developments on this project here in Chinatown. The city
says
this project
should be completed with very little disruption, both to businesses and the day-to-day lives of residents. Reporting live in Chinatown, I'm Malcolm Johnson, NBC 10 Boston.
You probably noticed a familiar face that we adore was missing from our coverage tonight. Sue O'Connell, our courtroom insider, has the night off, but she didn't miss a moment in court.
No, she's been inside during proceedings every day, helping us keep track of what cannot be shown on TV. And we want you to know you can follow along with her as things unfold.
Sue has been very active throughout the day on X, formerly known as Twitter. She's sending out live updates as they happen in the courtroom. Here are some messages from today. C. Albert seems to be confident and straightforward and appears to have a very clear memory. He says Karen Reed came over to him with a glass under her coat, a glass with clear liquid. He thought that was funny. Reed and O'Keefe arrived at 10:44-ish. Sue also live tweets about testimony, like this one, for example, talking about Chris Albert. While he was on the stand, she writes, his wife told him that John had died, found somewhere on the front lawn of 34 Fairview. He does not refer to it as Brian's front lawn, testifies he was in shock. He and his wife went to Brian Albert's house, lists the people who were at the house. He stayed an hour and then went home. Testimony resumes tomorrow at 9 o'clock in Denham, and you can bet our courtroom insider will be there.
Another full day of testimony, plenty to talk about tomorrow night at 7. We hope you'll join us.
A Boston police officer is dead. His girlfriend charged with murder. The prosecution says she hit him with her car and killed him, but the defense says she's the victim of a massive cover-up. Now, the trial is underway, and NBC 10 Boston is taking you inside the courtroom. See the evidence, hear from the witnesses, and get expert legal analysis as this saga unfolds. Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial. Continuing coverage, streaming on NBC Boston News Channel.
Last year, I was laid off just before the holidays. Losing a job was a little bit scary. But I knew that I had Uber to fall back on. Being an independent driver with Uber allows the flexibility to be there for my family and make a good living too. Now, some officials want to force independent drivers to become company employees. I definitely don't want to punch a clock. That schedule wouldn't work for me or my family. Drivers want to stay independent in Massachusetts. It works for us.
Celebrate her with emeralds, the Mother's Day stone. The Jewelry Exchange has diamond and emerald pendants for $79, rings and earrings $249, or diamonds. 1 carat 3-stone rings and studs $599, 2 carat $14.90. By Factory Direct. The Jewelry Exchange, Sudbury.
LifeSurge is coming to Boston on Saturday, June 22nd. Be inspired and equipped to grow your financial resources for Kingdom Impact, featuring leaders in faith and finance, including renowned speaker Priscilla Shirer, 2-time national football champion Tim Tebow, actor and producer Kelsey Grammer, star of The Prophet Marcus Lemonis, Duck Dynasty's Willie Robertson, and worship artists Natalie Grant and Jeremy Camp. That's LifeSurge, Saturday, June 22nd. Tickets on sale at lifesurge.com.
At National Forest Direct, get one room